You wind up being the #4 pick in the draft by the Clippers. Elton Brand was #1, Stevie Francis #2, and Baron Davis #3. You're #4, so 3 of those 4 wind up playing for the Clippers, oddly enough.
Wow.
But here you are, you're a New York kid through and through.
Yeah.
And yet we look back now, this is your 14th year, and 12 of the 14 in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And you are now Hollywood's darling. It's really pretty amazing.
It's funny, I talk about this with people, and everybody that I've known to come to LA, whether it was through sports, entertainment, whatever it may be, we love it. I would say with pride that LA is my second home, only because the first place that I was born in and
will
come
always
from.
be first.
I mean, will always be first because home is home.
Yeah.
But this is a place where you can be yourself, still be in a big city, but you don't have to move as fast. In New York, we a lot of us take pride in, growing up really fast. But in the long run, doesn't equal out the same.
Well, you joined the league the year the Clippers moved into Staples Center.
Yeah.
It opened as home for the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Kings. Matter of fact, you played in the first ever NBA game in that building.
Yeah.
I recall that night as if it were almost yesterday, and I recall you before the game, literally lying on your back on the red carpeted floor in the locker room, saying, "I never want to leave this place." I think you took like 7 showers before that game.
I did.
Went out and scored 30 points and 12 rebounds.
I was nervous.
Did you have, do you have vivid memories of that specific night?
I do.
Yeah. Well, tell me about it.
I remember being extremely nervous. I remember not wanting to show that I was nervous. I thought that was, at the time, was a weakness. I remember talking to my grandmother about being nervous, and she said, just play like you're playing in the park. And my family was born in from Queens, and she used to always have a joke. She used to say, whenever we were playing somebody from Brooklyn or Harlem, she would say, "You better play." They think we're soft in Queens or whatever. And she was just saying, just play like you love it. And the rest is history. I didn't really think much. When I was out there, I just reacted.
Well, the first year you were terrific. All rookie, first team, looked every bit like be a long-time star, major star in this league. But the time did come 4 years in where you did want to leave.
Yeah, I think about that, and sometimes we get in a point in our lives where we got to make decisions. Sometimes we have to do what's best for us. Sometimes we have to do what's best for everyone around us. And at that time, I wasn't a man. I wasn't becoming a man. And I had to find...
You're 23 now.
Yeah. And it was time for me to find that niche. Still being myself, still enjoying the game, and becoming professional. And at that time, I just didn't know what it was. I thought, hanging out and, having, 6 or 7 guys over the house and just, going out and play basketball, that I was being a man, and that's not what manhood is about. It's not what being a professional is about. And I had to go to the right environment at that time that I thought I could make that happen.
I wish this one had a different ending than it had, because you played there for a year, you played really well. It seems to me like you were kind of like redefined from being a small forward, point forward, to being a power forward while you were there. You teamed up with Dwayne Wade, a brilliant young player. And I think it appeared like you would be in Miami for the rest of your career. And then, bam, they pull the rug out from underneath you once again, because the Heat could not resist the thought of getting Shaquille O'Neal.
This life is curveball. It's a curveball. If it just came fast and straight down the plate, we'll all hit it.
Okay.
We'll all hit it out the park. Right? It's something about that curve and that all-speed pitch that catches everybody. And that's what life is really about. and it's about adjusting. I grew so much. And
you were an older, wiser player than just a year older when you came back to LA.
And not the player part, person.
Yeah.
Person.
Yeah.
You know, my foundation and how I lived changed dramatically in those couple of months.
Now you're asked in kind of incremental form to make sacrifices. You're no longer the first, maybe even sometimes not the second option on that basketball team. You eventually are asked to give up your starting role and coming off the bench. The trade-off, you win 2 championships, become 6th man of the year. It all comes out in the wash pretty well.
I mean, probably getting a little emotional, but I mean, you know, the trade-off was fine. If it wouldn't have happened, if I didn't win championships or win 6th man of the year award, it still would be okay. I've been able to wear the USA jersey. I've been able to
win a world championship.
World championship. I was 16 years old. I went to Paris to play basketball. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, there's so much light that's been shed on my life, and I'm doing something that I knew I was gonna do. Like, you know, that puts me in a small percentage of people that says, you know what, I'm 10 years old, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this ball and I'm gonna go to the NBA. And I'm talking to you right now.
So many people around the club that weren't around the club when you were here before would ask me, because I was, you know, what's he like? I said, well, I don't know what he's been like, you know, the last few years, because I mean, you were playing for other teams. I said, but when he was here, and I said, you were the personality of the ball club.
Yeah.
If Chris Paul is the intellectual spirit of the club, or whatever you want to call him, I said, this guy, he's going to be the personality of the team.
I've never changed on any team that I was on. If I said less, there was a purpose to it. You know, my time in LA with playing for the Lakers, I was the same way. The only time that I wasn't myself was probably that time in Dallas. You know, and that's because, you know, mentally, you know, whatever I was going through, you know, probably changed my personality.
I just can't imagine what it was like. You go back to New York to bury a cousin.
Yeah.
And you wind up also burying a stranger. I mean, my God, how awful that must have been.
It was tough. It was tough. Me and my cousin were extremely close. I get a call on maybe July 10th, and, you know, they tell me he'd been shot, and they didn't tell me how bad it was. So, you know, whenever I said, okay, I got to go to the hospital, and his mother is young, and, you know, me being who I am, I got to go see him. I got to go see what's wrong. So, you know, this was before the trade, and so I go see him, and, you know, the bullet goes, you know, boom, like straight through, and where his body is still working, but his soul is not there, or it was trapped. It wants to get out. So I tell his mother that I think it's best. He's been holding on for a little bit, and I tell his mother that I think it's best that we let him go. I go get a haircut the next day. I'm in back of a car, I'm being driven, and there's a guy riding a motorcycle recklessly. The motorcycle hits the car, and hits the guy on a motorcycle, hits a 15-year-old kid, and he passes away.
Talking about the double
right in front of me. And that was pretty tough.
Well, I don't know how you've handled all you've handled. You lost a son, you buried a mother, your grandmother who was like a second mother. You went through that trauma in that summer. And all that, all of a sudden, you're leaving Los Angeles after 7 or 8 years, and you're going to Dallas. Good team, defending champions.
Yeah.
Dallas is not Los Angeles. And you had had the most traumatic 12 months of your life, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, I probably broke down mentally. They got me. You know what I'm saying? Life got me.
Life won Lamar nothing at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I was down in the dumps. It was tough for me to shift my emotions. And it was tough for me to vent the right way. And at that time, basketball, it wasn't working out. It wasn't the right thing that I needed. And it was the first time in my life you can understand how confused I was, because basketball's always been that pressure release. I was going through the motions, wasn't really putting my heart into anything.
Luckily, there's good news. You found a way to get some help. I guess you'd call it grief counseling, which was certainly needed.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. You know, and it's just
way too much for a 32-year-old man.
Yeah, and it's just not just life and death experiences. I've seen it all. No one's too bad, no one's too good. There isn't anything that I haven't seen. I'm not judgmental, but I've just seen a lot. And a lot of those emotions, if you hold them in and bottle them in like I do so well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can hear my wife now say, you need to talk more. What's up with you? Like, you know, but I just hold so much in. And I really was fortunate enough to be able to let it out. Whew. And I haven't felt like this in a long time.
Is your dad back in your life?
Yeah.
But he wasn't a part of your life for a long time, was he?
It wasn't that he wasn't a part of my life, but he couldn't take care of himself. You know, he had demons and he had problems dealing with them. And I wasn't able to forgive him for a long time. And because maybe I was going through a lot of things.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and once I forgave him, I mean, he's so much like me. And, you know, when you see yourself in somebody, it's too painful and too hard to not give your father good energy.
Yeah. What year was it? It was the best of times in your 4 years here. And my recollection is the last game of the season, when you were up dancing on the press table.
I think we played Sacramento. I think that's when I might have threw that pass to Darius Mouse. One of the reasons why I wanted to come back here, you know, because I've always been a person, no matter what, that cares. So I think for people to, you know, understand who I am and what I really mean and what I stand for, to be able to make up, because I made mistakes. I was a kid, you know.
Lamar, you know my dear sweet wife, Jo, she and I dated for the better part of 20 years before I finally coaxed her to marry me.
Yeah.
You went a slightly different route. How long did it take you to get married?
It took me 30 days.
30 days, not 30 years, 30 days. I can relate to 30 years.
I think I was at the point in my life that I just knew.
You have to know and understand that some cynics thought this is a made-for-TV gimmick thing.
Yeah.
How do you react to that?
That's something that I would never do. Took an oath, you know. I wouldn't play with that.
We got to point out, you and Chloe just recently celebrated your 3rd wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
I saw some pictures, a rather romantic setting, it appears. Is this happily wedded bliss forever now? Is that what you're feeling?
I mean, being married is something that I want to do until I die.
Was there ever a point in these 3 years where you thought this reality TV thing and life in a fishbowl is going to distract from my day job as an NBA player? Never for a second?
No. I'll tell you one. My own reason why I didn't. It wasn't something that was forced on me. It wasn't until this athlete over here, this competitor that you're talking about, wins the championship and says, you know what, I think I could do both. Huh. I think I want to do both. I've watched, and I think I can pull it off. I didn't understand that it was gonna rub so many people the wrong way. But because of the nature of the beast, like, I understand why people are so opinionated on reality TV. But I mean, I have fun doing it. You know, I always support what my family does.
I've always felt maybe you and LeBron James and those you players in the game today, they can literally and effectively play all 5 positions at both ends of the court.
I think at this time of my life, I am what I can guard. And when I'm at my best, I feel like I can guard all 5 positions.
How odd, how ironic is it that that traumatic almost trade of Chris Paul to the Lakers that traumatized you, he winds up coming to the Clippers, and here you and Chris Paul are teammates less than a year later.
I mean, and we've connected like right from the door. And I think one of the reasons is because I've been down a road that Chris wants to go down. And
it's the 2 rings.
Yeah, and we're both seeking knowledge from playing in this town for one team and playing for the other, and experiencing things with this team and experience things with another team, that the guys on this team deserve to be able to walk down that road.
Amen, brother. Well, I have the feeling that you have weathered the storm. Blue skies and calm seas lie ahead for you and this basketball team.
I mean, Ralph, at the end of the day, Ralph, you know, there are too many things I haven't done or that I haven't been able to do.